All right, we are diving straight into a really fascinating structural pattern inside the Qur'an, one that goes way beyond what you might expect. This isn't about culture, it's about code. So here's the puzzle we're tackling. You've got this long list of named men, 26 of them, all the prophets are there. But when you look at all the powerful, essential women in the narrative, only one gets a name, Maryam, Mary. What is going on there? Why the massive difference? Now, your first thought is probably, well, that's just how it was back then, right? A reflection of the culture. But the source material we're digging into says, nope, not at all. It argues this is a deliberate mechanical feature of the text's deep architecture. It's about physics, not preference. And to get our heads around this, we need to understand a core duality the source brings up, this relationship between what it calls a particle and a field. This idea right here is the key that unlocks the whole thing. It all goes back to the very first teaching moment in the story, when the Qur'an says God taught Adam the names. The source points to a tiny but absolutely crucial detail in the Arabic grammar. The pronoun used for them is the masculine plural, which you only use for rational beings, for people. So the interpretation here is pretty stunning. Adam wasn't learning the names of plants and animals. He was being taught the names of his own descendants, specifically the line of male prophets to come. And that one lesson sets up our two big principles. On one side, you've got the male eigenstate. Just think of an eigenstate as a specific, definite state, like a single particle. It stands for a direct action, an intervention. And because it's a distinct event, it gets a distinct name. On the other side, you have the female field principle. A field isn't one single point. It's the whole background, the space that allows the particle to even exist. Its job is containment and potential, and for that to work, it has to remain unnamed. Let's drill down on this male eigenstate idea. According to this view, a prophet's name isn't just a label like you and I have. It's a functional signature. It's literally their job description. Nu means rest. Mūsā, drawn forth. Muhammad, praised. Each name describes the very specific mission, the command they are bringing into the world. So here's the bottom line. Prophets get named because they are the intervention. It's like in physics, where you have a wave of possibilities that suddenly collapses into one single definite particle in a specific place. That collapse is the event. And in this system, that event, that action, needs a name, a signature, to mark it. Now put that right next to the unnamed women. Their roles are all about being the field itself. Ḥawwā, or Eve, she's the field that contains that first particle. Mūsā's mother is the vessel that releases the prophet into the current. Āsiya is the field of belief that survives the fire of the Pharaoh. Their power lies in their anonymity. If you named them, you'd collapse the very context that allows the main event to happen. Okay, but what about Maryam? Just when you think you've got the pattern figured out, there she is. The one exception. The only named woman. And this is where it gets really brilliant, because according to the source, she doesn't break the rule. She's the ultimate proof of it. The idea here is absolutely wild. The source argues that Maryam is only given a name after she completely lets go of having any identity at all. Her naming is conditional. It happens only after she performs this incredible act of self-nullification. And it all comes down to this moment, this powerful, devastating quote. At the height of her crisis, she says, "I wish I had died before this and was in oblivion, forgotten." The original phrase is nisyan mansyan, to be a thing utterly forgotten. That phrase, nisyan mansyan, is presented here as the technical term for this state. It's not just her being sad or overwhelmed, it's a complete withdrawal of any claim to selfhood. In the language of our model, it's the particle willingly dissolving itself back into the anonymous field. And that's the whole key. See, she's named after this moment of total self-erasure. This proves the rule. The field can only receive a name when it completely stops being a container and instead becomes a pure, open passage for the divine command. She becomes a conduit, not a possessor of the event. So this is where it gets really mind-bending. This whole naming convention, this particle and field dynamic, it's not just a one-off rule for prophets. According to the source, it's just one example of a universal 2-to-1 code, a repeating pattern that you can find at every level of reality described in the text. And look at how this pattern scales up and down. At the divine level, you have one source manifesting through dual attributes of mercy. At the human level, one soul gives rise to two sexes. At the legal level, you have the witness ratio.
And at the narrative level, as we've just seen, one named intervention is sustained by the function of two unnamed fields. It's this consistent 2-to-1 blueprint everywhere.
This leads to one of the most radical interpretations in the source material, and it has to do with that rule of testimony, where one male witness equals two female witnesses. In this framework, this has nothing to do with social status. It's described as phase physics. The idea is that for one collapsed particle event, the testimony, to be considered solid and confirmed, it needs two confirmations from the field state, from the contextual witnesses.
So let's pull all these threads together into the big picture. You've got what Adam was taught, the names. The source calls this the pen, the tool that writes down the discrete, particle-like interventions of the male prophets. But what Adam wasn't taught is the book itself, the mother source, that uncollapsed field of all potential which is known only to God.
And that brings us to the final, elegant resolution. Prophets are named because an action, an intervention, needs a signature to be known. Women, as the field, remain unnamed because containment, the very possibility of that action, requires anonymity. It's that simple. The pen writes, the book contains.
But the source doesn't just leave this as a neat theory. It ends by flipping the whole thing back on you, the reader. It poses this question, referencing another verse, and it's essentially asking, now that you understand this cosmic architecture of action and containment, when are you going to stop being just a signature and become the book? When will you become that receptive, empty space, ready for the command?